right?
Welcome in once again, everyone. Dealers out there, general managers, GSMs, sales managers, fixed ops directors. Who am I leaving out? BDC managers all across the automobile space out there. Welcome in again to episode 2 now of what is growing in popularity, the Mission Debrief with your friends here at Call Team 6, Special Ops for car dealers, no lead left behind. And what does that mean? Call Team 6 is a remote BDC solution, a nationally a known company with dealership groups and dealerships all across the country. I'm Jeff, and along with me is Ken, our CEO for Call Team 6, and then over on the other side here is Ryan. And how you guys doing today? I'm sure you're stoked for episode 2, right?
Exactly. This is amazing, Jeff. I can't wait to get into all the different things we left off on last episode, and then transition into some even better things. I'm excited about it.
100%. Excellent. So here's what we want to try to look at today. But first, I want to make sure that we don't let the episode go by without recognizing our sponsors and our excellent team we've got here who bring this to you on a weekly basis now. And so first up, we want a big shout out to Jay, our music producer back in Carolina. And then also our sponsors, Podcast Junkies, because we are coming to you today from a beautiful Meisner Park area of Boca Raton, South Florida. And we want to make sure we do this in person because the reason why we're on it is because we have lots of dealers out there and their personnel and their leadership teams. They're asking us a lot about what's going on in the dealership space right now, what challenges that they're facing, and especially in this ever-changing environment so quickly. That's even been within the past 6 months or so that's changing right in front of our eyes. So first up, we appreciate everything and all of the sponsorship from Podcast Junkies. And if you're looking for the very best in podcast production, make sure that you look up that name, right? It's pretty tough to forget Podcast Junkies because that's exactly who they are and what they do. And then, of course, I bring Ryan in to talk about our other sponsor for this program, which is Insight Live. And you may or may not have heard about them, but Ryan, what does Insight Live do that allows them to be part of what we're trying to accomplish here?
Yeah, Insight Live is a firm close partner of Call Team 6, and they've got kind of a hyper-focused but still Swiss Army knife kind of approach of boosting your dealership sales, traffic, website traffic, foot traffic, you name it, mainly centered around events. So they'll do digital events. They'll have, we call it a digital BDC booster. They have hosted events, a lot of campaigns that are tied in also with Digital to Dealer Direct, with PMAX performance campaigns and other things designed specifically to give you that adrenaline shot that you need to help get over that hump. And we're proud to be the BDC behind what helps power those events.
So shout out to all the guys, Todd and Jim, and all of our friends over there sponsoring today's program. So what's the Mission Debrief about, right? And that's what we picked up on that we wanted to try to elaborate more on with this particular episode is, in our second episode of picking up on 3 of the main challenges that dealers are facing out there today. We kind of compartmentalized it to 3 main areas, which is new customer acquisition, defection prevention, and then missed opportunity re-engagement. So we were able to spend quite a bit of time in the mission launch field report section of our concise program here. We didn't get the chance to speak very much to the missed opportunity re-engagement part, and that's where we live actually. In a lot of our time in resurfacing opportunities for our dealership clients. But if you're listening out there, you think, well, what can we do ourselves? Because we provide a lot of resources and just advice and consultation for our dealer partners out there. Whether they're a client of ours or not. So, what exactly does that mean? Missed opportunity re-engagement. Ken, give us a little bit of an overview, of what that entails, in an everyday life of, let's say, a BDC manager.
Yeah, well, first off, it goes to long-term follow-up, right? Missed, engaged. Obviously, we typically talked on our last episode about the amount of customers that actually do buy actually in the first 3, 4, 5 days, and we know it's a high number. So oftentimes, what happens is the 40% that don't actually get followed. Do they get followed up on properly? And so really, it comes down to, as we mentioned before, to the CRM follow-up process. What does that look like? Oftentimes, is it the one that comes out of the box from the CRM company? And I don't recommend that. Obviously, there's a much better way of creating that process. But secondly, it's the human resources that back it up too. If we're running really lean, we talked a little bit about that last time too, in terms of is there more people being hired in since COVID, or has it been about the same? And we know that based on the numbers right now, it's about the same. We've been a lot of furloughed after, when COVID happened. A lot of people had the Great Resignation, and then a lot of those people have never been invited back, obviously. So the resources are lower, and so the human capital follow-up on the long-term follow-up is not then there for a lot of stores. And there's gold in that CRM. It's a matter of, am I getting it? And then lastly, how are we communicating to it, right? And that goes back to our omnichannel follow-up approach.
I agree.
If you're not utilizing, the text, the video, the phone calls, the AI model, if you will, there's a lot to be had. And Ryan, you can kind of speak to this in terms of what are we seeing, with our clients, in terms of the long-term follow-up. What do you see in terms of the conversions on the older stuff?
Yeah. What do you think right now? I just have a question. What type of, because you've lived in the BDC space, running dealership BDCs, multiple rooftops for close to 20 years now. Just the same ways we live most of our days, Ken and I, as partners in running dealerships. What do you give us? What you think is the typical follow-up response that somebody's giving at the dealership level right now at 15 days? What that verbiage looks like? How's that reflected in the CRM?
Close your eyes. What do you see?
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, I went too far out. 15 days, 5 days. Let's do that. What does that look like?
Well, if you read the Four Eyes report it's been getting referenced a lot online lately because it was a good report and it was kind of eye opening. I have everything over here. So 40% of intended buyers will buy after day 3. After day 3, right? So what does that breakdown look like? I mean, you're only getting up to 90% who buy in the first month. Right, 30 days. So if you're only focused, and not that there shouldn't be some focus on on the first 3 days. Obviously, it's where the large bucket is.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but you still have up to 40%.
Yeah.
30 days or longer. That's still there. And if you look at the average age of a vehicle, it's still floating around 12 and a half years old. Right. So people are still hanging on to cars longer. And that buying cycle is still getting stretched out a little bit from what we can see. So, I'll speak to it from a BDC standpoint, from Call Team 6's side. That's why we have developed the BDC Recon Sweeper program, which allows for a 1, 2, 3 day delay on our BDC follow-up, allowing the store to engage on days 1, 2, and 3, or day 1 or just day 2, however they want to set it up, and then we perform our long tail follow-up after that, going out, up to 180 days. And the average age of a lead that we see right now across all of our accounts from coast to coast is 42 days old. Right? It's the average.
Think about that. 42 days old, 43 days old. That's
on our sweeper program.
Yeah,
correct.
Again, I get that. But to me, that just says what BDC, in-house BDC, right? Are you doing that? Are you chasing the lead that long?
Can't afford to.
You can't afford it.
We got new leads coming.
Yeah, we got new leads. Bird in the hand
sell
today.
cars today.
Yeah, correct. The lead today is better than the one from yesterday. Think about this. How well your lead bias. We mentioned lead bias. If I have a lead that I'm following up on as an agent, right, and I see that it's 30 days old, what kind of effort am I going to put into that, right? And we know the answer. And so I just think that, again, it goes back to processes, the human resources and being able to have the right CRM follow-up cadence, and then really manage the KPIs to make sure that everyone's doing the right thing.
Is that even a thing anymore?
It's
the
a
traditional CRM follow-up cadence, doesn't it sometimes, Ryan, because technology's like leapfrogged
Yep.
all of that now, and I'm a dealer, I'm a general manager, I'm paying attention to every dollar I'm spending in marketing and customer retention and all that, which is very expensive these days. And I know it's getting diluted because of the things that we're talking about now. And, I would like to know that, that my messaging is in tune with that 42-day mark, right? Because those people are not dead; they're buying from somewhere, according to the data. So, how as a dealer, if I'm paying attention to all of that, what do I need to be doing? What Ken talks about the process and all that. We talk about it. Sounds like an abstract term. I'm sitting at a dealership's desk, that's sitting occupying the GM's desk, and okay, that sounds abstract to me. I want to know how I can get my cost per lead down, right? Make it manageable. And that means I need to have a robust resource or method or process that allows for more of those to convert, right? And back to my earlier question about how those follow-ups typically go is, hey, and again, say this affectionately, but as a dealer, I get paid to perform. It's like, hey, this is Jeff from ABC Motors. I'm just calling to follow up to see if you're still in the market. And that's
Customers really don't care what you're just trying to do.
Yeah.
That's my point, right? The car is the star.
I'm just following up.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Click.
but now how we help with that, and this is not that you have to use anything that we're doing or anything like that, but this is just, real world data, statistics, the challenges that dealers are constantly, asking us, or at least our opinion on, or our experience is, that's what the technology allows to be done that CRMs haven't caught up with yet with their follow-up cadence. Again, I'm not a fan, if you haven't figured that out by now. But I'm sure they're working on it.
You hide it well.
I'm sure they're working on it. Yeah, tell us how you really feel. So, trying to find the right messaging at the right time to re-engage. We're talking about right now of the three big opportunities, the challenges dealers are facing: new customer acquisition, defection prevention, and then missed opportunity re-engagement. That's what we're talking about right now. So a big part of that has to be it has to make sense in the terms of the messaging, but also the way that you're re-engaging, right? How are you helping dealership clients with that? Or how can they do better themselves? What can they pay attention to? What information can they have brought to them that shows if that's happening or not? So that way, sales managers come in each day talking about, hey, look, getting with the BDC manager saying, why does salesperson B have 658 overdue tasks in the CRM, right?
Right, yeah, and then you walk in, all sales staff to the desk. Hey guys, can you clear out your task in Vin or eLeads or wherever it is?
Yeah, boss.
Right.
Yeah, I'm on it, and then you see him outside on the cell phone.
Right.
But again, I'm not digging. It's just kind of a comical aspect of it.
We are human beings, and we live in a human world.
Yeah,
right?
and they walk
still.
away and they say, yeah, man, Chuck's still, he's still just ribbing us all day,
Right.
about our tasks. Yeah, it's a lot of it has to come down.
I don't know why. I've got 8 cars out for the month, and it's the 25th. I don't know why he's on me.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of it has to do. With and I know this is probably an overused phrase up to this point, which is the omnichannel approach, but. You can't stop following up with video too. So another interesting stat that we have. So our we have our own telephony system, our own CRM that integrates with the major CRMs that are out there. And one thing that we can uniquely do is ingrain in the follow-up process or text messages that automatically send videos. So we'll record them from the general manager, sales manager, whomever they want to do it, and shake the tree with a video that says, hey, we noticed you haven't made a move yet. And we like to ingrain, instead of doing the yeses or the tie downs, we do a lot of no questions like, hey, this is Ryan from ABC Motors. Have you given up on your vehicle search? And kind of
powerful.
And kind of drop it. Instead of saying, I'm just calling to follow up, or I'm just sending you this video to follow up, see what else we can do to help you out. and again, doing something's always better than nothing.
Sure.
First, so the people who are doing that, I want to credit
100%.
you for the ones who actually
No such
are
thing
doing
as
it.
bad communication.
Right, but when you couple it with a video and then you ask the power of the no questions, like, hey, have you given up on your vehicle search? So we do text campaigns as well as part of our long-term follow-up. And I tell you, when we send it out to unsold showroom traffic, unsold leads, just a quick text question that says, "Hey, this is Ryan from from ABC Motors. Have you given up on your vehicle search?" We send that out at the beginning of every month to all of the leads and unsold showroom traffic on every account we have that didn't close, and the amount of responses that you get from that is incredible. The amount of people who just say, "No, I didn't because," and then they'll just tell you. Mm-hmm. And then that opens up all of those types of conversations. Again, as part of that long-term follow-up that you're talking
You're
about.
a BDC manager out there watching this, or you're a sales manager, desk manager, GSM. You should definitely insert that question into a text through your CRM follow-up if you still believe in that, or through like a subject header line in an email. Have you given up on it? It's very, very powerful. Speaking of which, leads us to our second part of our mission launch field report subject to keep things moving.
Yeah.
And that is the CRM workflow, is it up to speed, and is it still effective in today's environment? I put that out to either one of you, because when you talk about sending out a text like that to unsold showroom prospects in the CRM, if you're going out longer than a shorter period of time, which we believe in doing, multiple contacts is where it's at. You want to keep re-engaging those missed opportunities. So, with that, what is the messaging on something like that? When you're sending that out, and to make sure that you are cutting through with your database in there. So there's one extra thing that I know that you guys do for dealers to help clean up that as part of the CDP, customer data platform, right? And that goes those extra steps to ensure that you're having your high contact rate, because everything is really clean. And you work with specific companies. We spend real money to do that. So that way we're not diluting the efforts on behalf of the dealers, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, one of the companies we partner with on the advertising side and the BDC side is Pure Cars. That's somebody that we've been using for a long time with their Autominer campaign. It ties in with their CDP. They clean up the data. It does a good job with that, and then it allows us to have more accurate consumer contact information. I'm speaking again for our clients that they experience. And again, that turns around having higher contact rates, more engagement, which again it's the whole point, right? Is to get more conversations. You want more volleys because that gets you more at bats.
That's something really useful for you folks out there. Just real quick, are you cleaning up your CDP? Are you cleaning up your data because you don't want to just send out a particular message, whether it's text or email blast or whatever you're doing? Take that extra step or two extra steps to be able to partner with somebody who who you can trust on something like that.
Yeah, and to your point, early on, you asked about the CRM process itself, and oftentimes when you do look at the CRM, you do an audit of their follow-up process. You can get lost because it seems like there's so much minutia over the years that kind of clogs up what is actually happening with their follow-up process.
Disjointed.
It is completely.
And
disjointed.
who looks at that? Does anybody look at that?
I mean, nobody looks at it. They expect it to work. Right. So what happens is that when the numbers aren't where we want it to be, the dealers just say, well, are we sending out all these email blasts? Right. We know that's a great connection, right? People love emails anymore, right? Not. But I mean, but we use these old school emails that we send out, and they don't get read, and so we know that, like, what is the process? How can we become a 21st century, if you will, company working with customers who are really smart? Let's be honest.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, customers are so smart. They educate themselves, and when they do submit leads because they want additional answers that they don't get from what the information on the internet has. So they call in, they ask questions, and then what happens oftentimes is that the person that's answering those calls or those follow-up processes, they don't have all of the answers to that. So what do? They end up, well, let me get with my manager. That's their job. Let me go ahead and find out from the finance guy. Let me go ahead and do this, that, or the third. So what we say is, we got to have a better process, right? And so we customize. I think it's important that you customize the process. You don't just take the one that comes out of the box from whatever CRM company you use, Elite, Vin Solutions, or what have you. What is the best one? To your point, Jeff, knowing that the industry has changed, the onslaught of all of this AI and resources available to our consumer. And a consumer is dying for a frictionless sales process. So they can feel like they can sit home and buy a car. There's a study that came out, right? What was the numbers again, Jeff, in terms of the number of people that bought? I think I made a note here
Well,
somewhere.
I know this, and I agree with you 100%. And just so you all know out there, Ken, if you didn't get a chance to see episode 1, Ken is a co-creator of the original BDC model back in the early 90s. And is a world-class trainer, consultant, and speaker. Very, very fortunate and blessed to have him at the helm, particularly when it comes to developing our all U.S.-based agents from all across the country who all have prior automobile BDC experience. But when you're talking to them, and speaking of being responsive to the changes that are taking place in consumer behaviors with regard to the car buying process. It's not just today the conversations and that you're having with them and the training doesn't always revolve around just getting them to show up. And unfortunately, that's still the atmosphere at the dealership is tell them to just get them here.
Yeah.
We'll figure out, just get them here.
Yep.
But to your point, I think because we've been on this, ladies and gentlemen, on this trend for 18 months now, with this evolving the way that customers want to be treated and the way they want to approach the car buying process. I want to say that it was over 80% of people surveyed were extremely satisfied with the process when they were able to complete more of the process ahead of visiting the dealership. So less time at the store, more time in prep. So when we're doing deals and creating opportunities for the dealers, for our clients and other ones, whoever we consult for and with, then we're attuned to that because of that, right? So, I mean, if you're a dealer out there, I would imagine you need to ask yourself, is that the way that we want to develop our culture on the floor? Are we going to adapt to that? Or are we still going to cling to the limitations of having people? Kind of goes to what a little bit dimension of what our, we're dealers ourselves. We're in the process of acquiring stores and running stores, and so I can just share with you all that we're a good resource for that experience because we're developing an entire dealership model, around that very aspect right now because of what consumers are telling us.
Yeah, and I would say that more that I can do from home, the better. And you can ask just anyone you ask. Just say, hey, how do you love buying a car? You love going to the dealership? Now, there's a small percentage that does, but most of them would love to do the work at home. If they can get like 80% of it done, just show up, do the test drive, and we've already agreed on terms, conditions, and we made it more of a frictionless sales process. That's it. That's the model, and I think that's we can all attest to that. So the question is that where are you at in that process? Are you going to wait and kind of catch up, or the stores that are actually jumping on that and doing that now, right? They're going to be tough to catch up with when they're actually
might be too late.
Might be too late. So I think timing is everything. But I think also
if you wait, I don't mean right now. If you wait.
But I think to your point though, Jeff, I said a minute ago, I was saying that speed to lead's everything. But also when I'm teaching, I'm talking about the customer has to listen, and trust the process too. And that's why one of the things we try to do when we onboard, and if you're not doing this already in your own BDC, this is a little, golden nugget, I would say.
A Moan,
there it is. And I would just say that
Mother of all nuggets for those out there.
Yeah. I would say that what I always say to do is, have you ever bought a car from us in the past? Well, no, we haven't. Or yes, we have. Either way, the answer is, well, you're going to love it. Let me tell you why. And then tell them 3 things that make you different and stand out. Because oftentimes, like in our dealership, I might say, we're known for our price and our transparency, and we're known for our VIP experience. So when you get here, the car will be cleaned, washed up, and filled with fuel so you can get in and get out of here quickly. These 3 things I know they're on their customer's mind. So why not just head it before they actually ask us these questions? We're ahead of it. So they know when they show up, we're not going to have them sit around for 3 hours. We can get them in and out, under an hour.
In our stores, I can vouch for that fact because in our stores, you actually do that.
Yep.
You actually record those videos.
I do.
What was it at a store back when you couldn't get any inventory, right? We had a shipment of vehicles coming in, a few, right? They were expected in on Tuesday or something like that. And you went out and made the video utilizing your techniques of dissemination, right? Identifying who would be the most likely prospects that are which needed to be cleaned. The data needed to be cleaned first. So we made sure we had the right people. And you actually did that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like seven units of the 10 or so that came in were sold, and people came in because of that, and because you promised all those things up front.
I did.
To re-engage, which spoke to the very messaging that today's consumer wants and the way that they want it delivered. In my view, anyway, I just, it's a testament to what happened because I saw it. I was there.
Yeah, and I loved it because we had a truckload of these, these SUVs that were coming off, and I did the research. I knew that we had an X number of, I forget the exact number, several hundred customers had inquired about that type of SUV that we didn't have much of. So when we did have it, I created a really great video that was unloading the trucks and said, hey, listen, if you haven't made a decision yet, right now, we have his truckloads being dropped off, and, for the first 5 people, whatever I said, we're going to give it an extra $500 off MSRP. Give us a call back ASAP. And, guess what? People came in, hey, I got your video. And I'm like, fantastic, and there it was. So this stuff works. And to your point, Jeff, I said to Ryan, hey, Ryan, I need to have everyone who's looked at a vehicle, it's a certain SUV, that had submitted a lead to us or was into the showroom that didn't buy in the last, 90 days. And let's target it specifically with this video. And you're right, Jeff. I think we sold like 5 to 7 of them like over the next 3-4 days.
I just saw it. So Ryan, if you have a lot of GMs or GSMs out there right now saying the same. Yeah, but we don't really have anybody who's interested in going on camera. So you've actually come up with a solution for that can actually execute on that in a personalized video. For follow-up for something like that, and for equity mining purposes as well, that requires no work on anybody's behalf, runs on its own, and generates results.
Yeah. We actually have an AI platform now that we're using for some clients now. That when the lead comes in and you're talking to the lead initially, again, we're a text-first BDC. It integrates and ties into your vehicle feeds and can send the customer a text personalized with an AI video of the vehicle.
Wow.
Or in equity mining purposes, AI can create a video tailored to whatever promotion that you tell us you want to run. Trade up event, vehicle exchange, what have you.
It compiles the video and does the audio script and has personalized information in there, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, 100%. So if again, that is really extremely useful. If you're a dealer out there and you want to know that resource is available.
Yeah, if automation is your game and you like that, and because it makes it a little more easier process to be able to measure and hold accountable. And listen, I mean, first month, maybe it's anecdotal, maybe it's not. We're still going to track it. Close rate went up from 7% to 11.5%. Contact rate amongst the leads went from 46% to 55%. So you saw a 10-point jump there and a 4% close, just because every single customer who submitted a lead with a VIN or a stock number attached was getting a video.
Yeah.
You didn't have to guess. You didn't have to send someone out. No one had to ask for it. Mm-hmm. You were proactive. Again, the car is the star, as they say. So
we hope you enjoyed that part of the Mission Launch field report, and that you came away with some useful items that you can take to your teams, your leadership teams, and the people on your front lines, where they can start implementing things, with that. So, we wanted to be able to talk about the next part, the tactical tips, but we're running short on time because this previous content was extremely useful and impactful, so we didn't want to try to shorten that up too much for those of you viewing. So right now we're going to go straight to our mission wrap Q&A portion, and I believe from the last broadcast, Ben, you've got somebody with a question. Maybe we can answer it.
Yeah. So Jeff, I just wanted to say, call Team 6. We got our first email in question, which is really exciting. Todd from St. Peter's Berg
All right.
says, what are the most common mistakes dealerships make when setting up or managing their CRM systems? Pretty good question.
We happen to have a CRM expert right on hand.
Yeah.
As it were.
His name is Jeff.
The guy who doesn't use one. Yeah.
No, it's to me, one of the mistakes that we see, and again, being in as many dealerships, speaking from the Call Team 6 BDC point of view, and from putting on my CEO hat, is dealerships change CRMs. And it's actually maybe even more frequently than you think. At least it feels like it right now. Maybe it's the summer of change. I don't know. But one thing you find out is when they launch the new CRM and then we're in there, it's all of it is out of the box. It's just here's and again, no fault of these companies. These CRM companies are huge. They've got tons of clients. They sometimes you have a good account manager. Sometimes you don't. It's a hit or miss. But they just have here's what we do, and the manager always asks, well, set it up. What do other dealerships that are doing great? Just set it up like them.
Guilty.
Right.
And again, it's not because you don't care. It's not because they don't care. It's because they've got 10 HR issues. They have this salesperson. They got something else going on. And they just
I have no idea what you're talking about.
they can't. We have those conversations. We're like, hey, we want to let you know your CRM's doing blah 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 blah. And the guy's like, yeah, can you even help me fix it? Because I got so much going on.
Yeah.
And so then, we'll go in ourselves and try and help fix it. And
So I'm on the Zoom
get
trying to get it launched and set up and everything, and then I get a knock on the door that says, hey, look, this customer wants to talk to you in the back. We just dropped their car off the lift.
right. You're not going to worry.
Service department.
You're not going to say, hang on, let me get to that
Rare
customer.
instance. Rare instance.
What was that email template being fired off on day 3 that makes no sense? You're not going to address that. So, but my point is, that's where I see a lot of maybe missed opportunity is on that initial setup. So if you're going to do that, you have to block out. It really doesn't take that long. It seems daunting because you look at the process, and if you're in Vin Solutions, wherever you look at it, and you're like, oh man, how many days is this?
Yeah.
And I got to look at all of these.
Can you tell that we live in your world a little bit every day, dealers, right, and managers?
Yeah, but if you you can email us at intel@callteam6.com. And again, not a pitch, not a plug, but we do have resources that can do CRM audits.
Yeah.
We can give you a customer experience score and just let you know what we experience and how we would score it. So, because likely that's how most of your customers are also experiencing it.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is that it's not about just a template. I think what has to really go into it is your personality. The dealership has one. It's got a culture. I'm sure you worked for years and years to develop it. And you get a culture without having intentionality. You're going to have a culture, and you're going to have a culture if you don't have intentionality, but it's the culture you want, and I think that messaging that goes out of your CRM should edify the culture that you're trying to create, which is the message the customer wants to hear, who is the well-informed buyer who wants a frictionless process. Because remember, everything's compared to who and everything's compared to what. So if they are shopping, and again, if your neighbor is not doing these things, then you'll have an edge, right? And again, we talk about I know it sounds a cliche, but at 212 we got boiling water, 211's hot water, right? So little things matter. 1 degree of separation can make a massive difference in the culture and in the result that you're trying to achieve out of your CRM.
Yep. Good point.
That's a great point, which leads us into our next is a program wrap and then a preview what's coming up next. So really appreciate all of that. Hopefully, again, all of our viewers got a lot out of that. That's why we're here, because you asked us to be here to try to disseminate a lot of what's going on out there, knowing the challenges you're facing in this changing environment here at the Mission Debrief. So, with that, once again, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up from here. So thanks, Ben. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Jay, music producer. Ben is our great producer here in studio with his engineer, Dan. We're very appreciative for those guys. So, look, we look forward to seeing you again, really soon on the next broadcast. And feel free to reach out to us, through all the social media channels. What are they again, Ryan?
They are specifically YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. They've been ribbing me because I keep leaving them out.
I wasn't
But
gonna let this over.
Also, all the traditional socials, and of course, again, and a big shout out to Insight Live, our sponsor for the episode too. Listen, if you're looking for a shot in the arm, a great company to help get you some traffic, check out Insight Live. They are the real deal. And you can also reach us directly at intel@callteam6.com.
And we promise that on the next episode that we are going to touch on that play to your strengths rather than your weaknesses as a team. And then also we are going to get into where we've been sufficiently immersed for the last 6 months with everything that's happening with AI. We're going to touch on that as well. So once again, thanks again. Episode 2 is now in the books from Call Team 6. Your special ops for car dealers, where no lead left behind. So thanks again to everybody for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time. This is the Mission Debrief.